the way. So let's deal with that. And I feel like some music, so I'll be having music in my ear. There we go, that looks a bit better. Perfect. All right. So with that being said, how do I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Nothing's ever quick, is it? I feel like it's not. All right, I am live either way. So let's get onto it. Oh, I've got 2 people here. Hello, people. I am live on YouTube. I will just let you guys know. Good morning. Thank you for joining me. I'm sorry I'm late for those that usually see me at a different time. Oh no, why do I not have power? Nothing but dramas already. It's not a good sign. Ugh. Power feels somewhat important. There we go. I should have noticed when the light wasn't on, shouldn't I? My gosh. Good morning, everybody. Yeah, it sucks to you. This is why I don't want to live in Melbourne anymore, because way too cold for my liking. Good luck with that. I have very little sympathy. I hated the weather and I moved. Now, this is, I think, my last custom order. I've got one more, but she's not in a hurry and she hasn't actually picked what she wants yet. She just knows she wants something. So this is my last custom order that I have, except for some embroidery patches. But I am going to do them, not now. They're not a hurry. They're just for a mate to stick on some pants. So with that being said, after this video... Oh, and one more custom order where I've got to do a lot of quilting. Sorry, I have that order too. But then after that, I'm A, not taking any more custom orders for a while, which means B, I can start doing videos of other people's patterns again, which I thought was pretty cool. I am also starting a new laser thing where me and Slasher, the F1 portable laser, are going to go around my house laser engraving stuff, and I've called it the Etch Files because, again, I think I'm funny. Can't help myself, can I? I've got music going at the moment. I'm feeling like, I call it rock rap. I don't really know what it's called, but it's like got rock music with rap on top, which is why I call it rock rap. Makes sense to me, you know? So today we are using waterproof canvas. For the outside, I am using some cotton woven Star Trek fabric, and she has asked for frosty purple vinyl accents and rainbow hardware. So that's what I've got going on. Love these bowls, so obsessed. If I had a 3D printer, I would come up with all the bowls of the universe, but you know, I can only do what I can do. So, this pattern's actually pretty simple. If you have never sewn a bag before, this is a great place to start, in my opinion. So we're going to start with the second smallest rectangle, the smallest being this one. And then we're going to find the matching waterproof canvas piece, which is not that, that's a Tory pocket. And oh look, I dropped something on the floor. Ah! Is it even a Tory video if I don't drop something? At this point, I don't think so. Where is, there it is. I'm like, oh, don't tell me I didn't cut it, but I was sure I did, and there it is. Just before 1 a.m. Ah, I'm glad I can help with your sleep deprivation. My child woke up at 4 o'clock this morning, banging and crashing in the kitchen because he thought he saw the sun in the sky and so assumed he should wake up. So I had to send him back to bed, which then wrecked my sleep patterns. And the reason I'm later than normal is I have to follow my husband to drop his bike off at the detailers. All right, wrong sides are together. Looks amazing. Let's get some of these. Now I'm not doing the triangle accent corners. because that's not the one she picked. So I have a place near me that sells it. It's called Sewing Trade. You can call up on the phone and order over the phone, and they will post it to you. I've just ordered in some robin egg, so I've got to wait for that to come. And then the robin egg color is going to do that Wednesday Adam bag that I've had half cut out for like months. I do love the purple frost as well. It's pretty. So the only other order I have after this is I have to make 10 bridal bags. Now, bridal as in horse bridal, not like wedding bridal. So I've got to do that, and then I am officially order free, and I'd like to start doing some videos of others. So I have like the Guardian backpack by Lynn's Handmade. I haven't printed it out yet, but it's on my list. After I get through all my like tubs of half cut out stuff, because I'd also like those gone. And there's a good chance that I am going to be moving a few more things back in from the sewing room now that this lives in here all the time. I will probably move it from this position, but it is going to be a permanent inside fixture. And I feel like I should also bring in the zipper tape and the boxes of hardware. So my theory is I can sit there, which I won't be able to reach while I'm sewing, but at least I don't have to go to the shed if I forgot something for a video, which I can always appreciate. Oh, sorry, I got caught up on my music for a second there. I'm off over 125 and 84th. I don't know what that, oh, streets. Yeah, right. All right, we're gonna do the other pocket that's like this as well. That's not the right piece. One day, I am gonna like pre-clip these together so that we all know what I'm doing. What? How is none of these pieces it? What is going on? That's the back. That's the front slip pocket. That's a front line. That's an interior lining. Okay, let's do the Tory pocket because that'll at least get rid of one more piece. So many pieces, so little time. All right. So, lining piece. Now you can box the corners. I did do a video where I boxed the corners, but I think it's live. So I can, if we need to, do one that's not live. I'm currently finding the center top and center bottom because it's just easier to do everything if you know where the middle is. Same with this. Middle. I also, for those that have been keeping up with Candy, I don't know how, but whatever I've done to it, my heat press works again. So I don't know what I did to make it stop working, but I have in fact fixed it. Tory, I found a neighbor on your channel. That's awesome. Maybe you guys could be sewing friends and like do cutting outs together or something. Sewing friends is a bit harder if you've got to physically move your sewing machine, but you know, could be possible. Okay, I'm going to move that off here and hope that that all solves my problems. That's a bit low. I'm just looking at that pocket and I'm thinking that this should be a bit higher. So to do that, if we fold it in half and finger press where the center is, then we just have to line that bit up on the line. Makes it a bit easier. That's more like it, I think. So again, we're going to take the clips and I just clip the intersecting points so it can't shift, and hopefully that will keep it straight. Ta-da! Clothing's fun. I really need to make myself more clothing. I just feel like I am forever behind, which is why I have decided to turn off custom orders for a while. I also have to change my website again. Don't even get me started. But I'm hoping that with no more custom orders, I have more time to design patterns. because my brain has ideas and I just need the time with which to do them all. I have the previous version dyed in the same way. Well, that's not good. I love candy. I messaged them, but I don't think they understood what was happening. So anyway, I reset it and then I turned it off and on, unplugged it, plugged it back in, because we all know that's like the solution to everything ever. It wasn't, but then I left it for 2 days, pulled out my other one, had to like fiddle around with that, and then I just went, oh, I'll see. And I think Candy got jealous that I used the other heat press, because for no reason at all, it just started working. So I'm putting it down to my machine was jealous, because what else can I call it? So anyway, it's working now. Yay! Which will make it much easier to prep bags, because I love that thing. But no, so my plan is to literally go around my house, find random things to laser engrave, and then do that. So I'm hoping, and that will be like my Friday video, will be the etch files. Because that's just, it amuses me to call it that, okay? Can't help myself. It also might help you justify to your significant other why you also need a laser machine. There'll just be a channel of 10-minute videos of all the things that you can laser engrave and the settings to use. You don't even have to guess. Also, I am still drinking Red Bull. I have decided that this is my one vice in life and I'm okay with it. Hello, EJB. Welcome, welcome. Shove that through. Yes. Hello, Poppy. Do I look crazy talking to myself, do I? He can't tell if I'm talking to him or not. His ears are like, oh, maybe. Okay. Done. Zipper pull. Zipper tape. Oh, look at that. It's just a little bit big. It's actually perfect. Love it. I'm doing gold zipper teeth for 2 reasons. One, because I kind of like it with rainbow hardware. And 2, this is the only purple zipper tape I have. But even if it wasn't, this would probably be what I pick. Push. On. I need to get my stash down to a manageable size. So that is what my life is attempting to do at the moment. So my friend that asked for the bridal bag, she actually picked fabric from my stash, and they take about 80 centimeters per bag. So I have officially cleared about 8 meters of fabric, which is awesome. Not that I've made them yet, but like I was starting to cut them out yesterday before I felt sick and had to leave them out. Around, going over the zipper because it is nylon, and I don't really use metal zipper for no other reason than I can't be bothered. You can judge me for that if you like. I'm cool with it. Metal zipper tape requires a lot more steps, and this is just as pretty. Most people won't know the difference, and so I'm doing it this way. So we're going to just fold this down, and the way I designed the Tory pocket, it should fit perfectly fine, unless you're using like a really thick zipper tape, in which case, I don't know, put it down. The zipper just did, the bobbin just had a meltdown. I watched it. Also, my embroidery machine doesn't love me like it should anymore. I have to turn off the sensor because it's constantly telling me there's no thread in it, even though there is. It's driving me nuts. But once I turn it off, everything works great. So I would like to start getting some more laser engraved bags happening. I have 2 markets next month. One's in like 2 weeks and I have made nothing for it. So there will be a lot of like black and spooky bags coming in the next week. And then after that, it's going to be a lot of like pretty country stuff in accordance with the markets I have to do. Okay, Tory pocket achieved. Yay! Now, back to what I was doing. So we've got all these accent pieces. We may as well stick them on. I should have ironed the vinyl. So if you ever have curly vinyl like this and it's driving you nuts, in your heat press or under an iron, if you don't have a heat press, put it face down like this, and you can either iron it quickly or put a cloth, a piece of cotton over it, and then iron it properly, and it will get rid of the curviness because it is annoying. All right, so I'm just going to put a single piece of zipper tape, double-sided tape to hold everything in place. You don't have to do these. These are just pretty accents that I decided to add because I can. But if you're new to bag making, or another thing, if you wanted to make these accents in fabric, cut your interfacing this size and then fold over the raw edges on the top and the bottom of your fabric, and then you will have a fabric accent. It's more effort, but if you don't like vinyl, or if you've just got the perfect thing and you want to have like a polka dot strip, that would be how you do it. And now my brain really wants to do that, to show you how. But I have promised other people's patterns, and so I will get onto that as soon as I finish this and all the quilting I have to do. And let's be honest, there's a lot of quilting I have to do. Okay, so we're gonna grab one of these. You have two, just if you're wondering why I said it like that. Oh, look, I dropped it. Ooh. Peel the back off. Stick it along the top edge. And then we're going to top stitch at 1/8 of an inch, which for me is the edge of the inside foot of my machine. I like to reverse up. I don't know why. It's just a thing. That's just to hold it in place because we're going to put a zipper there. And we all know how I feel about having multiple pieces of fabric unnecessarily. So, one. We're going to grab this back piece and put one on here. Does anybody else have different playlists for their moods for sewing? Because I can tell you right now, I absolutely do. What I'm listening to now is so inappropriate, which is why we're not playing it loud. But I don't know, I feel quite motivated by this music this week. Don't know what that says about me, but anyway. There we go, next. So now we need that skinny, this piece. I fussy cut this to put them in the middle, so once I add these accents, you'll still see something. If we stick both of them on, I know it seems like a useless, pointless piece, but there is method to the pattern, right? And it's just pretty to have them. You can absolutely skip them. Won't hurt anyone. And if you start on the inside bit, you can actually kind of do this thing where you go all the way around. It's really kind of fun. Oh! And that way I only have one end. Ha-ha! Boom! This is no longer going to be used because I was going to do D-ring attachments, but I have since decided to do these because I'm obsessed with these and I have a heap of them. So these are called strap anchors, for anyone that doesn't know. So I'm going to screw them into the back of the bag and then put the swivel clips attached to these. So I don't need this anymore, so it's going to go in my tub of scraps. I also have a plan for scrap bags. I have been cutting out all of my scrap pieces into little squares. So we're going to make a patchwork bag out of them. It's going to happen, not today. Alright, so we're down to a lot less pieces now, which I'm quite excited about. Done that bit. That's an inside. So these two are together. We can even clip them together so that I can be more organized in the tub. Done. Next up is... I have apparently... Oh, what just happened to my laptop? It went to sleep. It's a bit rude. Alright, so I've got these three and I've cut two of them the wrong size. I used the wrong pattern piece. That's okay. So we're going to leave one that size and then we're going to cut two of them down to the size they're meant to be. Because life will just be easier. So I'm going to line up those bottom edges and the sides and then we're just going to snip that bit off because I cut them wrong. And this is what happens when you rush. And I was frustrated that my heat press wouldn't work. Okay, better. So now we're going to take one each, put them wrong sides together like so. I like to baste them together because life's easier that way. You can skip this. I never do though. Doesn't even need to be that neat. And you don't need to backstitch. Hello, Angela. Alright, so now we're going to fold this in half. Push it down. If you fold it before you take the backing off, it gives a nice crease, which makes it easier to slot on the top edge. Then we can pull that off, and you can, I don't know if you can see, but there is still a crease. Line this up against the line of the crease, fold over, and then we'll top stitch it down. I do enjoy making custom orders, so I'm not stopping because of any negative reason except my lack of time and therefore probably my lack of being organised. We can call it what it is. Like today, I woke up, I'm like, cool, let's do a live at 8:30 like I always do, because I forgot that I had to help my husband take his bike to the detailing. Which is why we're late to doing it now. Alright, that's the back. So now all we have to do is add these, but I'm going to wait until I put the top zipper on, I think. So that can go back in the tub for now, because that bit's done. Now we're going to do the front. Now I haven't sewn this on yet because it's extra weight I don't need right now, so I'm just not going to. Also, when I stitch this down, I'll also be able to stitch all of the pocket pieces down, so if you wait to do it, it works out better. You can of course ignore me and do it however you want. I'm going to clip this on. You can also use zipper double-sided tape, which is 1/8 of an inch or 3 millimeters, depending where in the world you live and how you measure things. So this is Star Trek fabric. She wasn't specific apart from the word Star Trek, Purple Frost, Rainbow Hardware. So one of you actually sent this to me so that I could do it, because I went online and they were all like $40-something a meter but I only needed a fat quarter and I couldn't find any anywhere else. Now we're going to start with the shorter piece and pop that against this one, because the longer piece attaches to the other end of the zipper so that theoretically they will all match up down the bottom, or at least closer to. And it's cotton fabric, it's not vinyl. Get my tails out of the way. We're going to stitch a 1/4 inch seam allowance because it's a zipper and all zippers are 1/4 inch. And so the lining is my waterproof canvas fabric, which now that I'm thinking about it, I forgot to open up the pre-order for it. I'm going to get onto that ASAP. All right, so I'm going to finger press that down. I actually love this stuff, and it is my goal probably by the end of next year to make all of my linings waterproof canvas instead of cotton. But I would first like to get through my giant amounts of fabric. So using them as a lining is a really good way to do that for now. But it will mean less interfacing because you don't have to interface this. And then there'll just be like a few choices. So what I will do, and for those of you that do custom orders, I am going to have like a sample, I guess, book. We could call it a book, I suppose. So I will take it to the markets with me and be like, these are your color options for the lining, pick one. And then that way it's in front of them, they can see it in real time and color, and I don't really have to worry about anything after that. Do you know of a domestic machine strong enough for thicker bags? Anything that's cold heavy duty can probably do most of it, but another way to make domestic machines sew bags is to use iron-on foam and leave it out of the seam allowance because it makes it that much thinner, which therefore makes it that much easier. So it's less about the machine and more about how you go about sewing things. I also recommend using either a leather or a jeans needle when sewing bags because it's thicker and won't snap. Don't use like an 80. That's not enough. I mean, this bag, you could probably do it with that, but I personally think jeans or leather needles for sewing bags on a domestic. Cut the seam allowance off the bag foam. A lot of my patterns already have that for you. But if you cut it out and then iron it on, it's less sewing around the edges. And I would probably maybe avoid piping because that is extra layers and trickier. But apart from that, actual brands of sewing machines is not my strong point. I mean, there's Juki semi-industrial, so it's like a domestic but a little bit bigger. They do a really good job, but I also know that they are quite pricey. So I suppose it depends on your price range as well. Is it more about price or is it more about space? Like, do you want to put it in a horn cabinet, for example? This machine, I think was $1,300, secondhand off Facebook. Don't be afraid of Facebook Marketplace. Just make sure that you test it before you go, yes, I'll buy it, in case it doesn't work. But the green machine, which can do most bags, this just does it better because it's got the walking foot. This is actually just easier. It's not that my other machine can't necessarily make them, but this, with the walking foot, just helps drag everything more evenly, and I like it. So we're going to fold this seam allowance over and top stitch. So it's more about, like, is it a space thing? Is it a price thing? As to know which machine you want to get. Also, I know a lot of people love Juki, and I'm sure they are wonderful, but you can buy off-brand sewing machines. This is off-brand. I don't even know what brand this is because it doesn't say. It just says Sewing Machines Australia. So, I don't know. But this machine works great. Oh, I can see it. Can you guys see it? It's been a jerk. I hate that thing. Hate it. Okay, so from the front, this now looks fabulous. You can add zipper tabs. I'm pretty sure the pattern comes with them, but I don't always want to do them. And then from the back, see how these are now all pretty much down the bottom and lined up? Beautiful. So, grab your slip pocket, and now we will stitch this on. And this will also stitch down all the layers. So instead of this being 4 layers when we go to join it, it will be 1, and therefore can't move. If you've got the little triangles on the corner, it will be a bit thicker, so I probably wouldn't necessarily recommend that for a, so just skip the accents on the corners. And if you insist on having an accent, you could actually put one kind of up here if you wanted to. There you go, typical GC2263D. This one is a GC0617D. I don't know what the numbers mean before anybody asks me. No idea. I use a Juki for a lot of my bags, but it only does straight stitch. So if you want multiple stitches, domestic is the choice. Very true. I actually only really ever use straight stitch. I have a domestic machine and I bought it to do buttonholes. It's got a 1-step buttonhole, and that's why I got that machine, because very rarely do I make it do anything other than 1-step buttonholes. That was crooked. Let's try again. So, for anyone that has never been here before, hello and welcome. But we're going to pinch the zipper. Then we push it on till it's about halfway in. Now you can look down the barrel and see halfway. And then we grab the other side, and I put my finger on top so it doesn't move. So I'm pinching it from top and bottom. That is not going anywhere. Then we're going to take this side, feed it halfway in. And then I'm going to look down into here to make sure that they're even, and then push with that finger. 9 times out of 10, it works. Look, perfectly even. Zipper is great. Put it in the middle so it's out of the way. If you are concerned, you can stitch over the zipper. So A, the zipper tape won't come undone, and B, the zipper pull won't come off. But by putting it in the middle, you're not risking sewing it anywhere. Right. I'm sure other people, so if anybody else is sewing on a domestic or a semi-industrial or whatever, please put your shared experiences here, because I don't have somewhere where I can do like a sewing demo. If there was a shop near me that had all the different machines, I would ask them to come in and do like a live where I could show you how they all sew. But unfortunately, where I live, that is not an option. But there's our front now made. Isn't it beautiful? And our back is now made. Also beautiful. And our lining is made. Also beautiful. Look at us go. So now we should have 4 pieces. I am going to use this as zipper ends for the top zipper because I can. There you go. The Brother NV that number, which is a domestic machine because I need a new domestic, but I'm trying out bag sewing on it. So far I've successfully 4 layers. That's awesome. Bye EJB. Good luck at the dentist. I hope it's just a clean and very calm. I am not really ever one for brand names, so unfortunately I don't know. I buy what I think is going to be the most useful to me. 1 1/4. We're going to cut 2. So I have these rulers. For anyone that hasn't seen these rulers, I'm obsessed. I actually helped design the sizes of them. This is 1 1/4 by 8 inches. So it is the width of zipper tape. For anyone that doesn't know, zipper tape is 1 1/4 inches, which helps when designing bags to know that sentence, right? So this is the perfect size for that. It is also double the width of the D-rings that I use because I use 5/8 or 15mm D-rings. So I use that to cut the stripping for that. And then I've got little stick-on hooks on the end of my machine, and then they just hook on. Best decision of my life. The rulers come in a 3-pack. They're at Brimats. So there's that one, which is designed for zippers. The next one is 14 by 2 inches, which is the perfect length and width for a vinyl wristlet strap. So that's why I designed it that size. It's also just handy to have a 2-inch ruler for other things. And then I've got a third one, which is 4 inches by 20, because 24 is a bit long for like a useful at your machine thing. So I did it that size. Now, this is my very professional way of measuring, so please take note. We're going to put like 1.5 and then to there, so about the same, and then I'm going to cut that much because that's how I measure. Judge me all you want. It works. And I can tell you right now, it is 7 3/4 of an inch. Then we're going to put our zipper on again, and then we'll put the zipper ends on, and that way the zipper is not in the side seams. You could also do zipper tabs and then have them come out, but I actually kind of like this way more. So I'm going to put the zipper in the middle so that it's out of the way. And then, because I don't want it moving, we're going to put some of this. Actually, if there's anybody watching from Townsville that has a different machine, you should let me come over and do a video on your machine. Because when I use different machines, I pick up different tips and tricks. It's just how it is. I actually think that's going to be too long. I don't need that much of a zip. So the longer the tabs, the less of an actual opening you're going to get. And I don't think I want to do that. So we're going to go back to 1 1/4. This is, again, my very professional way of cutting things, but it works. And this one will be easier because it's still got the backing on it. This one now will just give us a nice little tab. Like that. Now I am going to backstitch this, because otherwise it tends to come undone and it just annoys me. You can also pre-fold it, put a crease. So there you go, HD9 seems to be the go-to answer. But you can also go to sewing machine dealers, take a bag with you and ask to try and sew the layers to see how you feel about it. Buying secondhand, that's a little bit trickier, but I still took, when I went to buy this machine, I still took like some vinyl, like a thick thing that I would normally sew, and made sure it would do it before I purchased it. Because to me that was important to make sure I knew what I was doing. And, oh, this is flat. I forgot to charge it. I think it's flat. Move the zipper past halfway. We're going to fold it in half. And then hopefully this has got enough juice to make a little nick for the halfway point. I like to melt the halfway point because cutting it, it'll fray. So I've just, I don't know if you can see, but I've just melted like the tiniest bit to find center. This one you can snip if you do a small snip like that. And we're going to do the back first because I do still need to install my D-ring thingos. So, front goes there, so back. For those that don't know how to figure this out, this is actually a really good thing. Front piece, I want the zipper closing that way, so I'm going to sit it there. Now normally that side would go there because we fold it down. So once we've done that, we grab this side and it will attach to the other bit. I don't know if that made sense to you, but that's like a visual representation of what goes on in my head. And if I'm feeling like brain foggy, you can just play it out. It won't hurt anyone. So we're going to put that in the middle. And you'll notice that there's slightly more than the seam allowance at the edge. There's a reason for that. You don't want to accidentally sew it, creates drama. So having that tiny little gap, nothing's going to fall out of it, but it'll just make it all sit nicer, in my opinion. I don't know why I keep saying that. Everything is in my opinion. Okay, add this one on. Now, I'm going to twist the clips facing the exterior, which I should have done the first time, because I want to have the lightest fabric on the bottom so that the feed dogs pull it. Oh my God, stop turning off. I don't know what's going on with my laptop. It's driving me nuts. So, we're going to do 1/4 inch seam allowance. Keeping in mind that this first bit might be a bit thick because we've got the zipper tab there. And then I'm getting close to the zipper pull. So I'm going to zip it out of the way. It's the easiest way to get the straightest of lines. And by putting the lighter fabric on the bottom, I'm not worried about it stretching or pulling. It's probably not as important on this machine because it's got feed dogs on the top. But on the green machine, that's a habit I picked up from the green machine because it just works. So if you don't have feed dogs, if you don't have a walking foot machine, always put your lightest fabric on the bottom because the feed dogs help to pull it through evenly. Now, we're going to top stitch this. We're going to fold that seam allowance onto itself to look pretty. It'll also help the zipper sit flatter so that things won't get stuck in the zipper when you're trying to use it. This is an important step. Take the time to do it and do it properly. Especially because of the vinyl accent. If you don't, you'll find that the zipper will not open and close as smoothly. It's more likely to get caught. So I very much do think that that was worth the time it took. And it looks pretty. Right? And then with this, you can just finger press it down because it is waterproof canvas. If you're not using waterproof canvas and you're worried, you can iron it down. Another option. It's really disturbing that I know all the words to some of these songs. Today is not a Fleetwood Mac kind of a day. Alright, top and bottom center, we just always find it. It's just easier. You gotta trust me on this. And it's easy to line this up right in the center when I know where center is. I also have a whole bunch of purse pals half cut out here. I've just got to cut out the lining-y parts. So there might be a sewing marathon in the next week or two where I do a whole bunch of purse pals because they need to be made for the market. All right. Add the clips in. You can add an extra one to the end if you're worried. There is also no magic number of clips to be used. I feel comfortable with this many. If you're worried about movement, add twice as many. You're not less of a sewer if you use more clips. All right, I'm getting close to that zipper pull. So again, needle down, lift up your presser foot. I have a knee lift if you're wondering how I do that. Best decision ever. I can't really sew with that old knee lift anymore. When I do demos at Spotlight, I'm always trying to knee lift the air. It's really quite amusing to me. All right, now we're going to top stitch that side, and then it'll be beautiful. You can also, so I've got quite a big throat. This section's called the throat for anyone that's super new to sewing. If you roll, not fold, but roll this up, it'll fit much easier through any machine. Or just fold it in half like this without putting the crease there. This side, I don't know why, always gives me more drama than the other side. So I also might be back on later to answer random questions from you all because I have a lot of quilting to do. Like a lot. Alright. So now that that's all done, I am now going to install these bad boys. You will require your electric screwdriver. I love this thing. And I don't have to charge it as often as you might think. I think I've charged it once since I got it, and that's a long time ago. This just saves your wrist. If you are a person that gets sore wrists or arthritis or like whatever, this, because it twists mostly by itself, best thing ever. This. And then you want them on the back. You don't want them too far to the edge because then they're really hard to sew past. But you also don't want them too in because then the bag's not stable, which is why I did the measurements I do. Alright. Make sure that there's no lining underneath, and then we're going to hole punch those holes. 1 and 2. Beautiful. That can go over there now. Now, Freylock. This is my favorite. No, this is not a paid promotion. I like this because it is a gel, not a liquid. So when I turn it upside down and squeeze, it's not running out the end. I used to use like a cheaper fray stopping glue, and it was like water and it went everywhere and it stains and I hate it. So then I stopped using it until I discovered this one because it is gel. So I'll show you as close as I can get. All right, squeeze it, see it to the end, dab it. It's literally a gel. It is the best thing ever. It's also supposed to help lock knots down. So if you tie knots from the back and you're used to like gluing them, you can also use this. It says so on the bottle. All right, so now we're going to take this washer, put the thing through, and then shove it from the back to the front. And then I'm going to hold it with one hand, and I'm going to twist this on as most as I can. Sometimes catching the thread is the hardest bit. If you go back to some older videos, you can watch me really struggle. All right, push it through from the back to the front. And then screw this one on. So I like to manually screw them on as much as I can. Like that. And then we take this, because it can usually do more than my fingers. In this particular instance though, not much more. But it's still worth it. You can also put Loctite on that as well. It is an option. So the Loctite will stop the screw from ever coming undone. It's like super glue for nuts. Alright, this is too far open. I don't want to accidentally hit the zipper while I'm sewing. So the best way to avoid that problem is to bring it in so that no matter how close I'm getting to that edge, I won't accidentally catch it. I have many times when I first started sewing, either managed to get the stitch through here or hit the zip and broke a needle or bent a needle and then damaged the machine. So for those that are new to sewing, it is just easier to move it out of the way now. So, first thing I'm going to do is line up the edge of the outside with the other side. That is a focal point that people will notice if it's crooked. That is probably the single most part to line up on this bag. If you sew the rest crooked, it would literally not matter. What matters is that this matches up, because when it doesn't, you can see it. It sticks out like a sore thumb. And to prove my point, I challenge you all to go to a bag shop and have a look around. And if you have a close look at how like bags are made, you might be shocked to see how bad they actually are. Alright, then I'm flattening this out. Now doing a different seam allowance on zippers will affect your bag. Right? So, what I'm going to do, and this is going to probably feel controversial to you all, but I'm doing it anyway. We are going to sew down, across, back, and leave the whole bottom open. This is my new thing that I enjoy doing, and you will see why in a minute. I hate turning bags. It is the most tedious part of the day. So, basically, I no longer sew the bottom shut. I will sew it shut of the lining through a zipper pocket, which is always why I have a Tory pocket in every bag, because that is like my close-up hole. Right, we're getting close to there. That bit's the important part. Down we go. Try to have nothing at the end of your machine. So even if you are against a wall, looking at a wall, try and have at least that much gap between this and the wall for the chance for the bag to fall down between the gap. Because as you hit a wall, depending on which end you're sewing, can make your stitches crooked. I learned that the hard way as well. I no longer sit against the wall because I record, but obviously not all of you are out here recording videos, so you don't care about that, but we care for a different reason. Over we go. Twist. Up we go. Now sometimes when you go downhill, and I call it downhill because this was thicker than this one, so it's a downhill, sometimes it'll get stuck in the foot. So you do a few stitches and then you have to lift up your presser foot just to make sure it's out. Now another thing, if you find when you're sewing bags your lining is a bit floppy, what you can do is do 3/8 of an inch here as your seam allowance, but then 1/2 an inch down here. So like do like 3 stitches and then kind of V in, because it'll make it less big and then easier to fit. Make sure you've backstitch at your ends. If you're worried, tug on them, because we're about to tug on them a lot more to turn the bag through. You can also box the corners of this bag. I did a video on that, but I would change the outer pockets so that they don't sit in that seam allowance. And if you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm making sure that my hand is going between the slip pockets. Hello, Maria. There you go. 4 to 5 inch gap. I like a good gap so that bigger bags, so when I do like overnight bags, it gives you space. Speaking of overnight bags, I feel like making a goth style one for the market in like 2 weeks. So we might do that. Anyone got a good other person's pattern for a good overnight bag? Because I did promise doing other people's patterns. And I feel like this would be the perfect opportunity. Right, so I'm basically punching this out. I'm going to get it to about there. And then we're going to stop and get a turning stick. For those that don't know what this is a flute cleaner. Only use wooden ones, metal ones don't work. So we're going to put this in and then stab it at the corners. Very classy, I know, but it's what we're doing. Right? Stabby McStab stab. It works, I promise. The next thing we want to do, see how it's kind of coming in? We want to push out those corners and see how it's level and therefore beautiful. Turn it through. Nothing's coming out those ends, just if you're wondering. But it'll make the top sit nicer. Right. Take this, and then we're going to open our lining, our zipper pocket on the inside. Grab this, pull it through, and then it's just as simple as sewing all the way along the bottom. Like that. And now the lining of the bag is closed with very little problems of turning. Shove it back in. Take this. There is a new pattern, Nomad Traveller. Oh, I've never heard of that designer. Kate Dill Handmade. If you're in my Facebook group, could you please put a link to that, either private message me or stick it on the wall or something, and I will go have a look. Right. So I'm tucking under the raw edges. I have done this so many times that I can do it without clips now. When I started, I did clips. But also, waterproof canvas creases quite well. Chirp. Right, now I'm just going to push the lining in, zip up the zipper pocket. Make sure that it's all the way down. Zip it up, and that's done. That's the bag. If you square the bottom, like box the corners, it makes it a little bit shorter, but gives you a bit more gap. The reason I designed this is because someone sent me a photo and said they want that bag, but in a different color it didn't come in. So that's what I designed this pattern for, except she wanted it at 80%, so even smaller than this. But it is a fairly quick pattern. I just did this in an hour. Obviously, I haven't made the strap yet, but it's also because I haven't cut it. Life got in my way, so no strap on video, but I am going to make it, obviously. And then that's the last custom order I have, except for all of the quilting, which I may or may not come back on for soon. We'll see. But no, so these are a really, really great way of attaching things. It's just a cute little bag. I'm also not worried about these because there's only so much you can fit in a smaller bag. But if you were worried, you could iron on some extra interfacing on the back of this. So name of the vinyl place. It's called Sewing Trade Townsville. You'll find it if you Google it. And they sell standard Pacifica, and they usually have a lot of the colors. Like a lot. You can go on to most websites and find the colors that Pacifica standard vinyl comes in, and he sells it by the half meter, and he will post it. So you just pay for postage and he will post all the colors out. So if you are looking, he does have Purple Frost. I bought some yesterday because I didn't have enough to make the handle. That's why I haven't cut it. So he's got Purple Frost in stock right now. He's got a bunch of the greens and all of like the tans and creams and browns. He's pretty much got all of them. There's greys. There's a new grey called Dolphin, which is quite lovely too. Hello, my lovely. Hello. Unfortunately, I am about to leave, so you've all popped in at the end. But yeah, Sewing Trade Townsville. And they have this color in stock right now if you wanted it. I don't know what postage is like because obviously I drive there and pick it up. It's 15 minutes from my house. But yeah. One more custom order, which is probably going to take me all day and half of tomorrow. And then I can go on to prepping other bags to do new videos. They will be pre-recorded though, not live, or at least for the first one. But I probably will need to make a few of the overnight bags so that there's choices. And I want to make a bunch of, so I've started, this is all because I have a really big scrap box of vinyl. So I've started going through and cutting purse pals. So this is obviously half, and then I'm going to have a plain piece for the card slot area. So I'll be doing these. I've cut out this. I don't know if you guys recognize this, but I got it from Temu in a Temu order, and it was an A4 piece. So I could only do the card slot side because of the width. So on this side, I'm probably going to do HTV with the Ghostbusters sign on that, and that'll be a wallet. So I'm trying very, very hard to get rid of my scrap vinyl because otherwise I'll never use it. So anything that's big enough for a purse pal is going to go in a pile, and then I'm going to do a bulk sew of purse pals one day. So we'll be here for a few hours probably, and I will sew up all of the purse pals and have a nice pile, and it'll be wonderful. So there you go. All right, guys, I'm going to go because I'm going to go do more cutting and spray gluing and then quilting. Ugh, it'll be fine. I'll see you next time. Bye.